Season 4, episode 6 of The Boys is so damn dirty that even describing it here on my channel might be risky for my channel. I mean, holy shit. We got Web Weaver in this episode, and he is the farthest from a Peter Parker type character that you can even imagine. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, I recommend watching it first. But if you don't and you just like watching these videos for whatever reason, sit back and maybe don't grab a drink because you might puke it up with some of the things I have to describe here. I'm going to be very careful about showing certain scenes on screen so I don't get literally banned off YouTube or get the video removed or whatever, strucken down for a violation of the terms and all that, because holy hell, let's just dive right into the episode, guys. If you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe, all that BS, yada yada. But without further ado, guys, let's start this episode and break it down, shall we? Let's do this. So this episode is called Dirty Business, and dirty business indeed. Probably the weirdest, kinkiest episode of The Boys yet. Oh boy, here we go.
Wakey, eggs and bakey, motherfucker.
The episode starts out with Butcher and his subconscious, or I guess higher conscious, you know, the devil on his shoulder, Joe Kessler, interrogating the victim here, the scientist, Samir, from last episode.
Mary's little lamb is starting to stink.
Yes, so he's got the head of the lamb, which I can't show, and he's brought it for Samir to, test on and draw the virus back out of it. And this scene is basically just Butcher and Joe kind of pushing the limits with, how hard they're going to go on Samir here.
I could just bash your head in and jog your memory.
Or you just give us a list of what you need to extract the virus.
Yeah, it's basically a predecessor to what would be a torture scene, perhaps. This is Butcher going all out to his dark side to get the job done, so to speak. But yeah, Butcher's torturing this dude, and he's got a week to make a virus that'll kill Homelander because the previous one wasn't strong enough. And that's a very important detail.
And make it strong enough to top Homelander.
A week. This could take months.
A week.
This could take months. A week. You got a week, dude. Get it done. We then cut to Huey and Starlight and Kimiko on a little tour here. So he's scattering his dad's ashes here on the set or location of one of his favorite films. I think they should have gone to Paris to do this. That would have been better. Remember, the dad liked Paris. He wanted to go back. We get a little Easter egg here, a black advertisement on top of a taxi. Love it. This scene is really a nothing burger of a scene. It's just Huey and his mom reconciling after the dad's death. And then it's a window into Kimiko's mind here.
Our friend Frenchie just turned himself in for a bunch of murders he committed for this Russian mob boss, but Kimiko's upset that he didn't talk to her about it first.
Who the fuck are your friends?
Well, his friends are the boys, and they get down and dirty, and they're gonna get dirty this episode. But yeah, this scene was nothing. It was just there to present Kimiko's conundrum mentally, and this dude.
Abortion is murder! Abortion is murder!
Hey, f*** off, asshole!
We then cut to Kimiko in the correctional facility here, Vernon Correctional, which is actually connected to Tech Night, I believe. She basically checks in at this window here, and for some reason, she was supposed to be first in line, but they skipped her. I don't know what the subtext of that is. Let me know in the comments.
Inmate refused visitation. Next.
But yeah, basically Frenchie doesn't want to see her, and she's sad about it. Cool. The episode doesn't get exciting quite yet, but we're about to get there. Now we see the Vought News Network, and apparently Cameron Coleman is on sabbatical. The dude's dead, so they're obviously not going to say that on their broadcast, but he's going to be on an infinite sabbatical. So she's filling in now as a news anchor. She's kind of been doing this role for Vought, so it makes sense that she's kind of taken over now.
Without further ado, our top story. Are Jewish space lasers brainwashing you into joining their schools?
Jewish space lasers? What the hell? Look at this. Okay, they have gone way too far with this shit. It's hilarious, though. I do want to know, though, are these Jewish space lasers real? Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen a Jewish space laser. We cut to Mother's Milk watching this as he deals with his, I don't know, he's got this insane stress reaction where he's got hives on his arm. He's got this app that helps him, manage his attitude and stuff. It's hilarious.
Let your intention connect with an almost affectionate attention toward the breath.
Mother's Milk's character is such a dichotomy of needing to be chill and needing to be zen, but he's also the most badass motherfucker that you can ask for on the team. It's such an interesting character. Well, I've always loved him. He's got a soft side and he's got this gangster side, man. It is a little cheesy though. Something about the acting with Mother's Milk sometimes here and there is not always hitting the mark, but at least the character's fun, you know? He's got the world's tiniest phone, too. I don't know. He's talking to A-Train, and A-Train is just flipping out about the Cameron Coleman thing. Naturally so, because that was supposed to be him.
They killed Cameron Coleman because they thought that he was the leak. Listen, I can't do this shit anymore, man.
He got lucky with that save from Ashley. It's interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mother's Milk used to be a rehabilitator for like criminals and stuff, right? Or like troubled folks. And now he's kind of doing the same with a villain. He's kind of rehabilitating A-Train into being a hero. And so that storyline from the original season is kind of coming into fruition here with his character in a different way. I like that.
Calm down. Now walk me through everything and let's process this shit together, all right?
He's like, yeah, calm down. But holy shit, this is f***ed. He will not tell A-Train that it's f***ed, though.
This is so f***ed.
Oh, I got to censor a lot of words here. Jarvis.
Right away, sir. Before Cameron got beaten to death, Homelander was seen putting suits together like
an army.
Like an army, like an anti-Justice League. Yeah, so they know about Homelander's little plan. A-Train is fully leaking the deets, and it's not going to end well, I don't think, for A-Train.
And then A-Train saw Tech Knight talking to Sage. Looked like they were planning something.
You want to talk to Tech Knight?
So this is our introduction to the Tech Knight storyline, and they brought him in a previous episode, sort of as a cameo of sorts at the V52 Expo. It was interesting because I didn't know if they were going to put him in the story for an actual, through line or just have him cameo. But this is our introduction to him becoming more of an integral part of the boys' main storyline.
He's having a Federalist Society party tonight at his estate.
He's going to have this party, a get-together of all of these super powerful, literally, soups and non-soups, very powerful high-up figures in the government that are kind of conspiring to make a coup of sorts within the government. And they need to talk to Tech Knight. And they're going to do this in the stupidest way possible, but it's hilarious.
Maybe you should sit this out. You've just been through so much with your dad.
I'm fine.
Now, this whole storyline with Huey in this episode is about how he's fine. All these crazy things that happened to him during his, time as part of the boys. It's fine, right? He's good, and he's really making that clear here to Starlight. And I wonder, is he actually going to be okay? Is he actually just covering up for the fact that he's totally fucked in the head? Probably.
How are we supposed to sneak into an alt-right cocktail party?
Thought you'd never ask.
Webweaver?
Webweaver is like a literal drug addict, completely deconstructed version of the Peter Parker superhero. My big question with this episode is there's a lot of conveniences. This is one of the most conveniently written plots so far, episode plots in The Boys, especially in this season. It's like they just all of a sudden have this connection to Webweaver, who we've never seen before, and it's just super easy for them to get a hold of him and take advantage of him. I don't know. Just came out of nowhere, came out of left field, and you just kind of have to accept that and move forward with it. Yeah, it's one of the more poorly written parts of the story for me. But I digress. Let's meet Webweaver.
Usually Beardy McBritish wants some dirt in exchange, but I'm fresh out.
Apparently, Butcher will trade drugs for information from this dude, and he's been another leaker at Vought, perhaps just like A-Train, but on a lower level. But he's never really been introduced into the story until now, and I just wish they would have set this up a little better. It's so distracting, though, with how crazy and weird the writing and the scene plays out that you kind of gloss over those things mentally. Like, check this out. I can't even show this on screen. I'm going to have to do like some editing magic to manipulate the frames and not show the specifics. But holy shit, here we go.
I'm fresh out. Unless there's another way I can pay. Wink, wink.
He wants to suck off Mother's Milk because he doesn't have the information that they want. But no, that's not going to happen. So he says, no, we're just going to, give you the drugs because you've been loyal. So here's a little treat. Okay, here's a little treat for you. But he ends up sticking the drugs up his spider web hole. Yes, Webweaver shoots his webs basically from his ass. Not gonna lie. I never saw that coming. Now I am disappointed because we only do get to see this like little set here with his room full of webs. Not sure why he's made his room so full of webs, but we don't actually ever get to see him use his powers. And I think we don't see that because it would be too confusing and stupid looking to do, even though this is The Boys. I feel like they attempted to film a scene with Webweaver using his webs and it just didn't work because I don't know. How do you make it look all right with a guy shooting webs out of his ass as a superpower? Anyways, Mother's Milk sticks the drugs up his booty. And of course, in proper Mother's Milk fashion, this happens.
Yo, what?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that I'm showing on screen, but he gets webbed in the face. And last season, he went to Herogasm and got Herogasmed on in the face. So he just, Mother's Milk is like the default take something to the face character. It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of sad. I feel bad for Mother's Milk, not gonna lie. And I'm not kidding, guys. The show actually shows the spiderweb butthole. It does. I can't show it on screen. I don't know if the algorithm would catch that as something, so I'm just gonna leave it off, but it shows the spiderweb butthole. Crazy. Now, they gave him these drugs so that they can get him subdued, unconscious for about 2 days. And they're going to have Huey come in and impersonate him with his outfit. Now, this is probably the worst part of the episode for me as well, because of how terrible Huey is at impersonating this dude. And yet he never gets caught. I mean, he's going up against the smartest man, one of the smartest people in the world, the Tech Knight. His superpower is his super keen senses. He's like a Sherlock Holmes on meth. You know what I mean? And so I don't buy it that Huey was able to do what he did in this episode. That's my main gripe with this whole storyline. Outside of the fact that it's just completely contrived and set up for them to be able to take advantage of the Webweaver character without doing much work for it. We then cut to the Tech Knight party with the Supes and the feds. Tech Knight is supposed to be like a Bruce Wayne-esque character. You know, he's generational wealth. He's a superhero with a, you know, multiple identity going on kind of thing. He's got the money and the power, just like Batman, but he's the evil version of it. He's not exactly a Batman style hero, but the setup, the backstory for his character is a very similar vibe. So I see what they're doing. Also, he sucks Homelander off like no other.
There's the big man. The myth, the legend, the symbol of America.
We get this hilarious interaction between Homelander and Tech Knight, and Homelander totally bodies him in this conversation. Just absolutely takes a dookie on him.
Sage and I might need you for the moment, but let's get one thing straight. There's no team up. You're pathetic.
Tech Knight is an ant compared to Homelander. He doesn't give a shit.
You can't even fly, for God's sakes.
You can't even fly. This is exactly what an evil Superman would say to like a pathetic, you know, simple powered soup like Tech Knight, you know. Can't even fly. I bet you he can't take a punch like Homelander could either. Or maybe he can, because he turns out to be somewhat of a masochist in this episode. We then get an Ashley versus Sister Sage moment here.
What part of you are an idiot, child? Not welcome at the adult table, do you not understand?
Tech Knight invited me.
But Ashley's got something special going on with Tech Knight, and that's why she's even allowed to be here in the first place. We then get our first appearance in the episode of Firecracker here, and she's talking to Tech Knight.
And the whole truth got picked up for another season on Vought Plus. It's a hit.
Must be. You got all this.
She's too dumb to realize that, you know, a Disney Plus show ain't gonna buy you a house like this. But I think in reality it might. But yeah, he's got wealth beyond wealth, as he has a family history of sorts.
This is real money. 11 generations money. The Vernon family started out as slave catchers.
He looks at A-Train as he says that. This is the douchiest moment from Tech Knight here that we've seen yet.
I catch, house, and rehab criminals. And then I catch them all over again.
You know, the funny thing is that is kind of reflective of reality. A lot of the prisoners that are in for long sentences are often people who got out and went back. That's a huge problem we have with the systemic issues with the prison systems today, is that the rehab process is not so good. We have a lot of criminals that go out, come back almost right away. And Tech Knight's kind of illustrating that point through his character here.
You know, I bet A-Train here would have given my great-great-granddaddy a run for his money.
Oh.
Huh? But we would have caught you.
Look at A-Train's face. He's like, "Oh, you would have caught me, huh? You would have caught me, the fastest man alive." But he plays his cards pretty close to his chest here. He just kind of goes along with it. He understands his role, and he understands not to push boundaries when he doesn't need to, especially now that he's maybe has some eyeballs on him, being a plant for the boys now.
Oh.
I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know. Classy. I actually love A-Train's character arc, especially how far he's come. And I don't know, he's just matured a lot as a character, and he's switched to the good side seemingly this season. And it's just so satisfying to watch as, you know, the bad characters become worse and A-Train is straying away from that path. It's interesting to see at least one of the villains can make something of themselves at the end of the day. And I don't think that's going to be a good thing for A-Train when it's all said and done, though. I don't think he's long for this world. We see all the bright-eyed Supes who turn to the good side but work with Vought. They don't end up in good positions. They either end up dead or being hunted or being slandered in the media like Starlight. But I think the most dire option is going to be there for A-Train. He's not long for this world, if you ask me. We then get the boys prepping for their spy mission into the Tech Night party, and we see Huey in the Webweaver costume. I mean, it's amazing, that they had Webweaver just on command, just hanging out there in the ether for them to take advantage of. But it's also amazing that Huey perfectly fits into his costume. So that's one of the contrivances too that I just find a little strange. But he's got these fangs. He's got this really shitty looking costume. This is probably the funniest, stupidest looking costume I've seen on the show yet.
F you guys.
How did a junkie like Webweaver score an invite to this anyway?
So yes, it makes sense with the character. We're going to find out why he got the invite. But also, again, it's just a very convenient storyline for them here. I do like the way it plays out. It was entertaining enough for me. So like I said, I let that go.
Why is it weird so tight? It smells like ass sweat and broken dreams in here.
Good. It'll hide your scent from Tech Night.
Now that is kind of clever. That's one of the more clever aspects of the writing is that he's a junkie, doesn't wash his suit, so it smells, which will actually combat Tech Knight's ability to decipher who he really is. So I like that part. It's like this show is super clever and then super stupid on the same levels sometimes.
Yeah. Smell, vision, taste, touch. He's like Sherlock Holmes on meth.
He's like Sherlock Holmes on meth.
Take these bugs, put them all over the party, and lure Tech Night back here as soon as you can.
They think that he has the secrets to what Sage is cooking. But to be honest, Tech Night hasn't really been, I don't think, fully clued in yet, because that's going to happen in the meeting tonight, is when Sage is going to drop her master plan. So this is a big gamble for the boys if Tech Night even knows all the information that they want. Now, he probably does, and we're going to find that out later. But yeah, big gamble.
Take these bugs, put them all over the party.
But that also begs the question, if they're setting up these bugs around the house and they're going to discover what's going on here anyways, why do they really need to interrogate Tech Night? It's a little bit of a risk, maybe too much of a risk for my taste. But like I said, it's enjoyable to watch. So we'll see how it plays out.
Comm check-ins every 2 minutes. Just say something, okay? Anything.
Copy.
Comm check-ins every 2 minutes. Well, you know the comms are going to go down when they say that shit, right?
In Webweaver's voice, motherfucker.
Copy, dog.
He tells him to obviously do an impression of Webweaver, but we see throughout the episode he kind of sucks ass at the impression. And so it's really annoying how Tech Night wasn't able to discover this like from the get-go.
I'm fine. All right, trust me.
Ooh, that is right.
Again, Huey keeps saying he's fine. And yeah, he smells like shit.
Webweaver. Master Knight's expecting you.
Apparently, he always goes in secret identity form. It's not unusual for him to just keep his mask on at all times. Kind of like a Peter Parker thing. And he meets the Alfred of Tech Night here, who's Black Alfred. And this dude ends up becoming like MVP by the end of the episode. He takes a drink. How's he going to drink? I half expected him to just pour it through his mask and just drip everywhere. But no, he realizes can't really have a drink. And he bumps in to Newman here.
Jesus, I'm so sorry.
Madam Vice President-elect.
And he's not doing an impression of Webweaver. He's being Huey. And she almost notices, but doesn't. I don't know. This bothered me so much. Like, why have him do this if he's going to be doing a shitty non-Webweaver voice? Maybe she's too distracted by the fact that he smells like shit. But still, I don't like it. Then he finally meets Tech Night.
Webweaver! You made it! Oh, it's so good to meet you in person.
Yeah, no, me too. No, Cap?
Again, no Cap. Like, he sounds so stupid throughout the episode, and Tech Knight's supposed to be a genius, and he doesn't realize it. It just bothers me.
Really, I'm honored that you would even consider the sidekick gig. I know it's a big change, but if tonight goes well, it's yours.
He's sort of auditioning Webweaver for his sidekick position, but we're going to find out exactly what sidekick means in a bit.
Well, great. That's great.
Like, he's still talking as Huey. He's not even doing the Webweaver voice at all.
Well, I've never been to an estate before. Do you guys have stables?
Let's get the tour started inside.
They're going to take a tour, and they're going to go somewhere pretty dark with that tour. So in this scene, we have Homelander and VP Newman and Sage talking about the little meeting they're going to have to rally the troops, so to speak.
Sage here is going to lube them up with cognac and Monte Cristos and then convince them to commit a little high treason.
So they're talking about the 25th Amendment. They're trying to put Newman into power by eliminating or impeaching, probably killing, the actual president.
And if we have a shot in hell of pulling off the 25th Amendment, we need them.
You want to be El Jefe or not?
You want to be El Jefe? Yeah, great reference, Homelander. Homelander then asks about Stan Edgar, catches her way off guard, but she plays it pretty cool. The way he looks at her, he's like, I know you're doing some shit with Stan. Please tell me. But she doesn't elaborate, obviously. We then get the tour with Tech Knight and Web Weaver here, and he talks about the Safdies. And the Safdies directed films like, what is it? Uncut Gems. Yeah, movies known for being like a little edgy, pushing the line, and more adult-themed films. So nice little reference there if you are into movies and directors and all that shit. Now, Huey notes the orchid paintings in the stairway, and he's very obviously calling these out to the team, but it's obvious for us, but in a way that it goes over Tech Knight's head. He doesn't even realize.
Oh, wow. I love your study.
He points out the study, and Tech Knight points to the Uncle Tom's Cabin, a heavily racist-coded work, I believe. And so, obviously, Tech Knight coming from old white slaver money, it makes sense. You know, they're kind of nailing that theme home here with him, for better or worse. He talks about the Tech Cave, and this is where we get the full-on sort of kind of Batman reference in full effect here. They're going to go down to the Bat Cave, to the Tech Cave. And the comms are gone.
Huey.
Of course. And yep, I can't show most of this scene because this, guys, is the sex dungeon. Tech Knight's cave is nothing but that. Literally comes down here to do torture and other shit that I probably, if I speak out loud too many times on this review, I might get shut down for it. Oh, it's disgusting. But Web Weaver, aka Huey, is going to have to be the main subject down here. And yeah, really unfortunate for Huey. And here we see the relationship between, you know, Butler and Billionaire. It's the Black Alfred, like I said.
Isn't that right, Elijah?
That's correct. Austin Knight.
And this guy, I kind of like this guy. He's going to become a good guy by the end of the episode.
There's nothing greater than a father's guiding hand. You know?
And Tech Knight's got daddy issues, of course, being a Bruce Wayne type. You know, he's an orphan. He was raised by his butler. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he's super f***ed up.
Jesus. You didn't get all the Santorum off the gibbet cage.
You taking care of, sir?
You didn't get all the Santorum out of the gibbet cage. What the I don't even know what these terms are. Like, what is a gibbet cage? A gibbet cage. The corpses of the newly executed criminals were placed into iron or steel cages and hung from a platform. So it's just exactly what it looks like. It is. Santorum definition. Santorum, a frothy mixture of lubricant and fecal matter.
We gotta pull him out.
No, look, just hold on.
Yeah, please get Huey out of there. I'm actually extremely worried. And here is the other sidekick right here. A sort of play on the Daredevil imagery, if you will. I mean, look at this guy. This is the old sidekick. This is what Huey is destined for.
This is my last sidekick. I don't like liars. The whole culture down here is based on trust.
Apparently his sidekick was a liar, and this is his punishment, to be chained up down here for as long as Tech Knight needs to. I don't know. It's very ironic because, you know, Huey's a big liar in this situation for the right reasons, but definitely this put me on the edge of my seat, having to anticipate what's going to happen to Huey here. And you see Tech Knight gets this read on him, but not quite.
You're agitated?
No, I'm fine.
I get it. This is all a little vanilla for you.
It's all a little vanilla. That just goes to show how messed up Web Weaver is supposed to be. He sort of looks up to Web Weaver, like inspiring. He's inspired by the boundaries, or the lack of boundaries thereof, that Web Weaver possesses.
Tonight, we're really going to push ourselves to your level.
He's absolutely a psychopath. This guy, Derek Wilson, Tech Knight, that's the actor. He just does a great job of nailing this psychotic, sociopathic, just insane creepo energy, but like with a handsome smile, and it's just off-putting. You know what I mean? It's just, you hate this guy just by the way he looks and talks at you. We didn't get the first scene with Noir unmasked this season with the new Noir, right? Is it, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Put your mask back on. Get out of this chair. What are you doing?
You know what's funny? I hate Saki.
this shocked me. And Noir is kind of having a crisis here. He's like, he doesn't feel like he fits in. He doesn't understand his role on the team.
But I'm supposed to follow some stupid black ninja bullshit, which makes no goddamn sense, by the way. You ever meet a black ninja?
Ubisoft met a black samurai. It's close enough, right? He talks about just having to follow this script that's just doesn't make sense. I think he's making fun of, obviously he's making fun of like the whole actor-writer dichotomy where you have to sometimes play these roles that are just idiotic and put your head down and take the check.
You don't matter.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm doing a ton of important shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, what are you doing? What's important, Deep? Tell us.
Need to know, bro. Need to fucking know.
He says that, need to know, because there's nothing that the Deep is doing. He just wants to sound important. Okay, I guarantee you there's nothing important that he's actually doing. I mean, he got fired from the crime analytics department. What else has he got to do? I don't know.
I booked Cirque du Boston show, Vought, music of the Bee Gees. 3 nights a week in Branson. They're gonna let me fly.
They're going to let him fly. So this is the first time we get a hint of his superpowers. I thought this guy might have not even had powers. I thought he might just be an actor in the universe. But apparently he can actually fly. Is he maybe a parallel to Homelander? Because in the comics, Noir is straight up just a Homelander clone. Now, maybe Noir is actually going to be a Homelander parallel with the powers that he has. And we haven't seen them yet. But he can fly. That's a definite hint right there. So he sits Noir down and he tells him about how Noir favored violence. That's what really drove his character, is just pure blood and annihilation. The Deep gives this little monologue here about the violence, and
some people laugh at me. But you know what I realized? When I crush someone's nose into the back of their skull, or beat them so bad that they'll never walk again, they're not laughing anymore.
maybe he's turning the new Noir into something terrible. But again, if this single conversation flips him completely, I'm going to have a bit of a problem with that. I hope they go, pun intended, deeper with this character flip, this, this arc of his in the future. We're back with the boys at the mansion party, and they're worried for Huey, so they got to go in. They got to take matters into their own hands. We then get this disgusting scene. Butcher is just puking his guts out back at the basement or the underground facility, wherever he has Samir tied up. And we get his wife here, and we're finally going to get both characters, Devil and Angel, on his shoulder in one scene in a bit.
I'm trying to save the bleeding world here. Claret's gonna get spilt. I can't do what needs to be done and keep you happy.
He's coming to the realization that he's not going to be able to take the high ground and be the moral good guy and still save the day. But maybe there is another way. It's just he's blinded right now by violence. He has this deep desire to be the good guy, but the only way he knows how to get it done, or the only way he thinks he can get it done, is by being a bad guy. We then cut to this scene of Kimiko, and she hops up this wall at the mansion. And she drops her phone. I feel like she'd been doing this long enough that she would know to secure her devices when she's doing spy shit like this. So I just thought this was ultimately stupid as hell, contrived, an easy way to make more conflict for her character during her little mission here. So I didn't like it. The only thing that really does to this episode, though, in the end, is it just makes it harder for her to communicate with people later on. But she still ends up communicating with them pretty much perfectly fine. And so it was, again, just a contrivance to make more conflict in the plot that didn't really need to be there or affect the story that much. A little part of the writing there that's kind of weak for me for multiple reasons. Now she's able to climb up this balcony so that she can let them in from the inside. I'm also not too sure how they're able to sneak around this crazy estate, this crazy wealthy estate. Where is the security? I mean, hey, you have the vice president here, okay? And this is, again, part of the contrivances of this episode. You have the vice president amongst other higher ups in the government here, and security is where? We don't see a single struggle with security at all. Like, even the VNN news network scene had more security. Granted, it was like one guard that Butcher and Mother's Milk took out in one of the previous episodes, but this basically high treasonous government party has no security from what we see on screen. It's just insane. One of the stupidest things in the episode. Really takes it down a notch if you think about it like that. Then Newman talks to Sister Sage, and she talks about how she has the ability to do all these crazy things, being the smartest woman in the world. But
I stayed up the next 3 nights, discovered a cure, presented my research to those satisfied fat crackers. They patted me on the head, said I was adorable, and laughed at me.
So she just despises everybody now and looks down on them because nobody takes her seriously. Why would she take the world seriously? So this is her just blatantly, explaining her motivations as to why she wants to do all this and kind of pushing Newman more towards the dark side of taking advantage of these people to get what she wants. She wants the presidency.
The only way women like us have ever gotten what we deserved. One hand in their pockets while the other slits their throats.
It's nice. This conversation was definitely necessary in the episode. As we've seen earlier, Newman was skeptical about this whole thing, but talking to Sage here, now she's kind of gassed up about it. So nice. She takes a good old swig of whatever that was, and then we get Firecracker here having a fancy hors d'oeuvre of sorts, and she tries it, and it tastes like shit. She tries to play it off cool, though. She doesn't fit in here at all. It's just another little sign of that. In fact, we see her try to march up to Homelander and the ladies here, and they're just like, piss off. You don't belong here.
Firecracker, It's kind of a private conversation, but I'm sure the bar has some Sunny D and Everclear.
Now we cut back to the most disgusting scene in the history of The Boys as Tech Knight and Webweaver are in the sex dungeon doing sex dungeon things. He basically makes Webweaver take a shit on the cake. And that's all I can say and show because I don't want to say or show anything else and get banned from advertising here on YouTube. Oh my God. Then Ashley makes her way down here and this is her role in the party. She's a different kind of sidekick to Tech Knight as well. His sexual sidekick, if you will. This is her new boo thing. Remember, she used to be with Cameron Coleman, but Tech Knight apparently is an old flame of hers as well, and she has reconnected with him in a very deep and even dangerous way. A naughty way. And then he says this to her.
I left a present for you in the changing room. And no, it's not this time.
I almost had to turn the episode off at this point. Because, like, yeah, I do like watching The Boys for the edgy stuff. But this was just not it for me. Like I said, I could barely talk about this shit on the channel. It's just awful. That was Webweaver to clean up. They're just getting started. I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine. He gives him sandpaper to wipe his butt with, all right? Why would you want that? Why? No, that's not good at all. But then back with Butcher and Joe Kessler in this little laboratory. I keep calling it a basement earlier. It's a laboratory.
You really do look like warmed up shit.
Oh, God, yourself.
They have a little very Butcher-esque conversation basically with themselves, literally. It talks about how, this is the only way. We don't have a choice.
Little is a tough nut.
Yo, crack. I ain't got no choice.
None of us do.
What's that supposed to mean?
So we have to go as hard as we can. We have to do anything we can, even violence, to get things done. Nothing matters but the goal. They didn't have a conversation about the origins of Joe and Butcher's relationship.
That guy that was taking out the trash and watching Sports Center, that wasn't me. The real me likes to hear him scream.
The real me likes to hear them scream. So this is Butcher talking to himself and saying, you know what? You're not the guy that's going to be goody two shoes. You're never going to be that guy. And in order to be okay with yourself, you just have to fully accept the dark side, of your nature and dive into it. Then cut back to the basement again. Or the sex cave, if you will. Sex Knight and Webweaver are definitely going to be shooting some stuff down here, shooting some webs. He goes through like this foot fetish tickle procedure with Ashley.
I'm gonna bite your off and cook it. I'm 100% a cannibal.
No more! I'll go!
No more, he says. No more. Okay, yeah, no more. Please, get me out of the scene. There is a really funny moment in this, though, that pays off later. And he asks about the safe word. And Webweaver says this, or Huey says this.
Webweaver wants you to stop, he'll use a safe word.
Spiderweb!
What?
Tech Knight's like, excuse me, spiderweb. He's just trying to shout any word he can to get him to stop, but he doesn't know the safe word. But what's the safe word gonna be? What would a meta joke about Peter Parker Spider-Man, what could that be? What would the writers use as a safe word? We're gonna find that out. We then get a personal moment here with Firecracker as she breaks down over being not accepted at this party. And who does she meet but Starlight? I don't know why Starlight is just on her own running around. Maybe they're all splitting up trying to find Huey in the fastest way possible, but that's fine. She runs into Starlight here. Annie ends up tricking her, lulling her into a false sense of security by talking to her and owning up to some of the evil doings of her younger self, that things she used to say and do to the girls at her pageants, which is a point of contention for Firecracker. So it really gets her off guard when she then does this.
I am so sorry.
Yep, she knocks out Firecracker. They've got this drug that can just knock out soups. Now, I don't know. Do they always have that? I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. If they can do that, though, I wonder why they wouldn't just be like having a gun, like a dart gun with that stuff in it all the time, carrying that around. And then you can just, any soup you want, you can just take them out like that. Like, talk about making a virus strong enough to kill, Homelander. Why don't they just concoct a tranquilizer strong enough to at least seduce Homelander down to a unconscious state, right? There's more than one way to go about this other than, you don't need a virus necessarily. I mean, it was that easy to take out Firecracker. Now, I know she's a lot weaker than a lot of heroes, but still, if it can be done with one, it can be done with others, depending on the strength of the cocktail you cook up. We then go back to the sex cave again, and there's more activities, if you will, going down with Ashley and Tech Knight. Now, I did say it's a really disgusting episode. It's mostly the ideas presented that are disgusting. They don't go full, Pornhub with it. And so, yeah, he's talking to Huey, aka Web Weaver here. Still doesn't know who he is. He then finally asks him again to prove that he knows the safe word.
What's your safe word?
I'm probably gonna save that for something I really can't handle. But yeah, I'm good.
And this is where Tech Knight ends up getting the clue.
You're trembling. Body's riddled by mortilation.
Come on, spit it out. What is it? Huey, you definitely don't know the safe word, but maybe you'll get lucky.
It's the thing that you love the most.
Lube?
Lube? That's all you got, Huey? Oh my God. And Tech Knight finally pulls his mask off. I was wondering how long it would take him to just pull the mask off in general for other reasons, like, sexual reasons. But no, this was the final straw for him, and Huey has been made.
Wait a minute. You were my favorite hero as a kid.
And he's going to cut a hole in him and yeah. But we have our heroes, Kimiko, Mother's Milk, and Starlight on the way to save the day, hopefully. They move through the house, they see the paintings he referenced, and they find the study. And who's in there but Sage? Because I guess Sage loves books. Not sure why she's in here. She's writing something. I don't know what she would be writing. Maybe I don't know. I just don't know. Tell me in the comments if you know what she was actually doing in here. I guess she's just drunk, maybe. Not sure.
Nico, find Tech Knight's stupid fucking secret passage book.
Yes. I love Mother's Milk. It's a sort of a meta line here from him. He's like, yeah, I know. It's another fucking stupid secret passageway. Please blaze over it. Just get it done. It's sort of him calling out the script in a way, which I appreciate. I like when the script gets meta and at least they can acknowledge in a certain way how stupid it all is. So it's kind of lampshading it, if you will, but it's fine because Mother's Milk is funny to me and I don't know. I enjoy little things like that. Call me stupid if you will, but I like that. I like that in shows that are actually entertaining. Now, if this happened in like a show like Batwoman or something, I'd be like, come on, really? But this show at least entertains me enough where it can get away with stuff like that. He now has a gun pointed at Sage, but we know she can regenerate pretty fast. She's a soup, right? And somehow she's not bulletproof. And I don't know how Mother's Milk really knows this. But okay. She then goes into full manipulation mode. And I don't think that this would phase Mother's Milk at this point. I think this is super contrived. Like, I feel like he would be able to just tune it out. You know what I mean? Because his intention is not to kill her. I think it would be to incapacitate her, but maybe that could result in killing her on accident. But would he really feel that bad about it at this point if he knows she's going to be responsible for a lot of bad shit? I just don't know if this would push him that far. It makes sense on the surface, the things she's talking about do hit home with him, but would they hit hard enough to really mess him up? I don't know, but it doesn't work. He says fuck it and shoots her anyways. It did kind of mess with him though, shooting her. But he doesn't necessarily kill her here. He just kind of lobotomizes her, right? We've seen her put a thing into her brain and pull it out. And all it does is make her super loopy, which is definitely going to have an effect on the plot later in a way. Clearly though, it affects Mother's Milk more than we thought at first. And he literally passes out. So at the end, he did what he needed to do. It didn't affect him enough to stop him from taking the right move, but it did kind of put him down. Again, I'm not sure if this quite makes sense for his character. Now, they have been setting it up well enough with the hives and all that, but I still, for some reason, just don't buy it as much as I should. So let me know in the comments how you feel about this whole Mother's Milk thing. Now, here's where the cell phone comes into play, and also A-Train. She gets really lucky getting A-Train's attention, and only A-Train's attention here. Nobody else in the damn house spots her. Again, a lot of contrivances in this episode, things we have to look over in order to be entertained, unfortunately. So she can't speak to him, not being able to type on her cell phone, right? But she finds a way to use books. Conveniently, she very quickly finds books with the perfect words to describe what she's feeling and wanting to convey. Now, Mother's Milk being passed out gives room for A-Train to become a bit of a hero. She also finds a book that says easy to kill. But yeah, here's where she finally finds the book that motivates A-Train, the daughter. Look how contrived this is, guys. This is why I have a problem with this part of the plot, is the cell phone being dropped would never happen with Kimiko. She's too experienced at this shit by now. She would have it in a zip-up pocket or strapped in a back pocket, something more, something more secure. So that wouldn't happen. But then it sets up this little, zany plot line where she has to use books to communicate. And she finds books that are convenient conveniently perfectly fit for her message to A-Train. Like, look at this book right here. For the Sake of His Daughter is literally the title of a book. Now, I bet you that could be the real title of a book for sure, but would it be so easily accessible to her within 20 seconds of looking? And would it fit? Would she find this book that perfectly fits the scenario? It just doesn't make too much sense to me. It's, like I said, contrived. There's no better word for it. I'm sorry if I'm using the same word over and over again. There's no better word for it. It's manufactured, if you will. So A-Train makes his way out and makes a save on Mother's Milk here. We're then back to the tech cave, and Huey's about to have a new hole opened up in him. But as it's about to go down, who shows up but Kimiko and Starlight to save the day? Conveniently, perfectly timed. Oh, and that is a kick to the chest. Basically knocks out Tech Knight with a flying ninja kick here. And we cut to A-Train making the save, leaving Mother's Milk at an emergency room. And he sees this kid who looks up to him now. And it really fills A-Train's heart with something that he's not really been able to experience as part of the Seven in a very authentic way. And he realizes this feels better. This is the right way to be with my power. But I don't think that's going to be good for him in the end. If we're talking about his health, I think he's on the path to redemption and then death. If you ask me, he's got a couple more episodes left in him, and it's tragic because he's probably my top 3 characters so far in this season easily. But it is heartwarming. I did get chills watching A-Train make this save, and truly get to see what it feels like to be a hero. But what's going to happen is that kid's going to tell everybody about how A-Train saved the day. And that's going to go on the news. And they're going to, I think the Seven's going to easily find out A-Train helped the opposition. We then get to see Sage after her bullet lobotomy, her handgun lobotomy. She survived, but she's now going to be stupid as hell like she was with the Deep. And so that part of the writing, very clever that they set up that concept earlier in the season with those scenes with the Deep. It finally comes to fruition. It finally means something to the plot other than her just getting to have sexy time while she eats fried foods with the Deep. So here is the sidebar with the top 1% of the 1%, the leaders that are going to stage a coup and get the Vice President Newman here into full power as the president. But Sage is supposed to be the one kind of exposing the plan to everybody as she's the mastermind behind it all. But she's kind of, for lack of better words, stupid as shit right now. So Homelander tries to take over and he just can't quite get the job done. He's too much of an idiot. Like, Homelander's not the dumbest guy in the world, but this is outside of his pay grade as a politician. And so who has to step in for him but Mama Newman? He gets,
How you going to guarantee our oil reserves?
Of course, there's going to be some birth
The
pains.
shock to the markets would be total.
And what happens if civil servants resign?
He gets roasted with all these questions that he just doesn't know how to answer. He's never really been in this world before. This is all new to him. So Newman takes over. She starts really taking on the attitude of Sage and fully coming out against the plebs of America. And she says, you know what? Everyone in this room, you have power for a reason. You have power, you have money because you know how to use it, and fuck the people. We're in charge.
You should be able to operate without any regulation or restriction whatsoever. After all, you're billionaires. You are smart enough to know what's best.
The thing is, the weakest part about this conversation is that she didn't really answer all of the questions that were, poised at Homelander. She kind of just gasses them up and tells them, we got this, team. You're the best. And so it was weird. She just kind of put on this politician face and said nonsense, and everybody agreed with her. Maybe it's because of who she is that they were able to, buy into the plan. Her being an experienced politician, the VP elect, all that. Maybe that's why they got the confidence out of the speech that they did, but she didn't really answer the questions that were grilled at Homelander. And we see Sage being a little kid eating ice cream cake in the background or whatever the hell that is. It's just awkward. Just keep doing this stare thing. What? Homelander doesn't feel too good about himself. He feels like a child. Now, here is probably the stupidest part of the episode yet. We have Tech Knight tied up in his own cave, and he's a masochist, so they try to torture him, but they can't. How do you torture a masochist? Well, you fuck with his money. And they just pull this laptop out, and they're so easily able to just donate money to these organizations with like one punch of a button. And they're organizations that he would not have anything to do with. Obviously, that's the threat. He's like, don't give my money to BLM. And it just took me so far out of the episode here when they are able to just do like Saturday morning cartoon style actions with his laptop. Like, oh, push a button and there's $1 billion donated. I don't know. Just the writing was so lazy. I get it. They don't want to go into the details of, oh, unlock this, do that. But like, give us something more than just push a button and there's a $10 billion to Black Lives Matter. Like, it was just too cheesy, too lazy for me. Now, I understand the concept behind the writing is good. You know, how do you mess with someone who likes pain and who's a superhero who can take the pain? Well, you got to mess with the only thing that's really truly valuable to him, and that's his wealth. That's his money. That's his politics, all at the same time. So that idea is good, but the execution is just so lazy for me that it starts to take me out of the episode. They do end up getting a very valuable piece of information out of this torture method of sorts, though, and that's this.
Do it.
No, please. To use my prisons. My prisons. Homelander and Sage, they need places across the country to put their dissidents.
So Homelander and Sage are going to put their enemies in literal internment camps by using the Vernon prison system owned by Tech Knight and his family. And they say, screw it, we're donating the money to Black Lives Matter anyways.
What do you get back? Now! I raised this entitled piece of shit.
Yep, Black Alfred goes in for the kill. He finally turns on Tech Knight, and that's why I say he was MVP this episode, because, you know, we love a good underdog story. And Tech Knight's a douchebag, and he just goes in for the kill shot, choking him out.
Well, make it look like an accident. He always admired David Carradine.
He talks about making it look like an accident, referring to David Carradine, who died with a cord wrapped around his neck in a hotel room, and it was suspected to be part of a sexual act. So makes a lot of sense with that reference. If you didn't know who that is, I didn't either. I had to look that shit up. Then we get the safe word from Webweaver.
Zendaya. The safe word. It was Zendaya.
Zendaya is the safe word. Now, two things. This is hilarious because it's a super meta joke, right? Tom Holland, Spider-Man, Zendaya, they're dating, whatever. But the second part is that Tech Knight somehow knew the safe word, but he had never, apparently, did he say earlier that he'd never really met Webweaver in this sort of way? So I don't know how exactly he knew the safe word, but it is funny. I guess we'll let it slide. But again, sort of an interesting, possibly very stupid piece of writing here. But yeah, Zendaya, funny joke. Ha ha ha. We get it. And we cut to Homelander in his apartment here, and we get a scene with Firecracker. Probably the most iconic Homelander moment of the season outside of the whole basement excursion when he went to kill those people that worked for Vought. Firecracker talks shit on Sage, trying to put herself up on a pedestal in comparison because of what happened at the party, right? She then goes in to seduce Homelander, but he is not attracted to her. She admits in this conversation that she had a interaction with Starlight, and Homelander not happy about this.
So, you're the one that let Starlight get away. So how do I know that you're not the leak?
But she's going to give Homelander a reason to believe that she's truly on his side. And she plays up the waterworks, and she plays up her whole... I don't even know if she's playing it up. I think she truly believes this, and this is who she truly is and who she wants to be for Homelander. So she is truly thankful. I feel like she truly is thankful for what Homelander has been able to do, the position she's now in because of him.
I have spent my whole life on the outside looking in. It was you who threw that door open for me, sir. You brought me in.
She's been elevated from a simple political con junkie to this important person of power, not only in the news, but in politics and in the Seven now, in Vought. Now, we know Homelander can't stay away from a good old bigoted white girl, but apparently he's not attracted to her until this happens. And the look on his face, he's sold. He is sold. He's found a new mommy, literally. Literally, look at him. He says, you're not pregnant, but how could she do this? Well, she took a bunch of drugs to make this happen. That's how dedicated she is. She did it all for you. Now, I don't know if she is 100% on board with this at the core, or if she's only doing this to stay alive and manipulate Homelander. It could be a mixture of both, obviously. But it does seem true to her character from what we've seen. Homelander just loves going straight to the source for some good old milk. Now, speaking of issues that perhaps a female can fix, Huey breaks down to Starlight in this next scene.
I'm really not fine. Listen, Annie, I miss my dad.
I'm so sorry. It's okay.
After all the shit he's been through, becoming a near sex slave for Tech Knight was the final straw, and he finally realizes how fucked up everything has been for him, and he breaks. We then get the final scene with Butcher and Kessler here in the laboratory. He brings in a bunch of stuff from a French guy. I think we know who that is. Then Samir finally reveals the real reason why he won't be able to make the virus, or why he just can't bring himself to make the virus strong enough to kill Homelander.
To make the virus strong enough to kill Homelander would evolve into something unstable. No one with compound V in their bloodstream would be safe.
Every soup on Earth will have to be sacrificed if they want to kill Homelander. They're going to create like a COVID on meth, or only for soups. It won't affect anybody else, only if you have compound V in your bloodstream. So obviously this might be a suicide mission for Butcher as well, but he's already going to die, right? So he doesn't really have that stake in the game. But will he sacrifice Ryan to get this done? That's his ultimate conundrum. That's his ultimate conflict. Now, Butcher actually wrestles with this idea. Despite him going farther and farther into his dark side, this is not something that he's actually okay with deep down, as you can see. But the Kessler side of him is thrilled. And this is where Joe and Butcher's wife finally coalesce and meet in one scene. And Butcher comes to the realization, like some of the audience members, not even he realized that Joe wasn't real, which is just insane. Obviously, he knew his wife wasn't real, but he forgot that Joe died on the battlefield when they were comrades. Now, it's a weird thing that he forgot that. Obviously, the reason why he knew his wife wasn't real is because, well, she's dead. He knows that. He watched it happen. And apparently he left this guy to die as well. So I guess he selectively forgot about Joe Kessler, didn't even question how he returned. So this part of the writing, while it is very dramatic and the reveal is intense and it's a cool moment, if you look beyond the surface of it, it starts to crumble a little bit. Because if Kessler's right and he watched him, bleed out on the battlefield, left him there for dead, A, why would he not really question Joe deeply about how he was able to return from the dead, basically? And B, I don't know, it seems like they only did this so that they can have a cool reveal, but they didn't quite think of it, They didn't quite think of it deeper than the surface. Now, what I would have done here is I would have had Joe explain about how, yeah, you saved me out there on the battlefield because you needed me. But when we got home, you left me to my devices and I overdosed on drugs and you never even acknowledged it. Like something like that, to where it was a little more subtle and there could be a room for Butcher to have not remembered or not realized that his friend died. But instead, they just go all out and just blatantly say he left him for dead on the battlefield, which causes me to believe that Butcher wouldn't think that this guy's real if it's a very similar situation to having him lost his wife. Or having him have lost his wife. I don't know. It's just strange. But again, cool moment. So we have to gloss over it, right? Not really, though. I do take issue with this stuff, guys. I do notice the contrivances in this show. Sometimes they sacrifice good writing in order to have a cool moment. And once you think about it after the episode, once you watch the episode like more than once, it starts to get to you. But yeah, that is the final shocking reveal of this episode. And that's where we cap it off. Now, I will give this episode a maximum 7 out of 10. The enjoyment factor and the entertainment factor was there, but the writing really took a step down for me this episode in multiple ways. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you on the next episode, the next review. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. This has been Stark Cinema. I love you guys 3000. Have a great day.